everybody out there in the Dangerling world. I'm a Dangerling girl, and I am dancing my Dangerling dance. That's what I'm talking about. In my Dangerling world, there's a couple of other Dangerling girls. We got Dangerling Dan.
I am a Dangerling girl living in a Dangerling world. That's where we're going for this one.
And we got Dangerling Ross.
Come on, Dangerlings, let's go danger.
Let's go be dangerous.
I don't know. It just came out. We're Dangerling girls in a Dangerling world, and we like having fun. Welcome to Danger Recall, the second best podcast on the internet. The first being the Danger Club podcast. I'm sticking with it, man. It's going to happen. Some people are going to start believing our hype soon enough.
He's beginning to believe.
He's beginning to believe. Matrix 4 is coming out soon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is anyone bothered?
I mean, nah.
Is it a reboot or is it a continuation?
No, it's an actual continuation.
It's a sequel.
If it's a sequel, do you not only have had to have seen the 3 movies, but do you have to have seen all of the expanded universe bollocks that they did in between it?
When everyone Animatrix.
Like the Animatrix, like the game, which is canon, the MMO, which
the one on PlayStation 2 or whatever?
No, the Matrix Online. Matrix Online it had a really cool idea in early MMOs where they paid actors occasionally for big events to go in. I hope they paid the actors. Fucking better have. But they had actors go in as Morpheus and things, playing characters in it, and would act out scenes that players could be involved in. It's a really nice idea. But yes, technically, I believe the Matrix Online is canon in the Matrix universe. So
okay, right.
It's going to be like the
Enter the
Witcher.
Matrix on PlayStation 2. Then there was the Path of Neo. I think on the PlayStation 3 or 2 as well.
They all sound a bit like Bruce Lee films, don't they?
Yeah,
they do, don't they? Yeah. Well, let's not talk about the Matrix that much. I think, it's I don't know. The first film, brilliant, amazing, especially when it first came out. It was crazy. Remember that? It was, oh my God, it was a blast from Jesus. First time you see that, it just blew me away.
It was a blast from Jesus.
Well, it basically was, isn't it? Because it just turned out to be. I mean, if you haven't seen The Matrix, spoilers, but it's a fucking Jesus story, really. I say a fucking Jesus story. I'm not going to go at Jesus or Jesus stories, all right? That's not what I'm doing.
It's about Jesus fucking. No.
Let's not have a go. Look, we are not having a go at Jesus.
No.
We are just saying that it was a story that was based on the religious concept,
which is a unique concept in film, to have a sort of Jesus-like thing. It's really just the Matrix and every single Marvel movie that's ever been made that has done that. It's it's rare,
and in fact, probably every story that's ever been told, apart from Breaking Bad. So, which I rewatched recently, and it's great. Let's not talk about that though.
He's not the Messiah.
Breaking Bad is good. And on the rewatch, there's so much more to it. Loads of layers. Just like if you listen to the Danger Club podcast again, there's layers. It's layered, yeah? Go back and listen to it. It's great. I'm claiming it. It's out there now.
Always
is it layered?
back.
I'm not sure.
Always has.
All right. 53. Creel or no Creel? We got music from Kev, Sword Coast Soundscapes, Fox Winter, Rick Lan, The Daily Something, Silent Partner, and Ross Bludgeon.
Wow, a lot of people.
My spell check, man, I've got to sort it out because it just changes things on the fly.
Just get the episode up. You can just read
no, man.
it's in the episode text.
It's all right. We don't need it. Look, you can go back. June 2019, this was recorded. Yeah. What were we doing in June 2019? Let's do it right now. Open up your emails, right? Just put June 2019. Why?
Because I don't like having thousands of emails in my inbox.
Yeah, but I've just got some beautiful information up saying I've got three Fidelity Workshop bookings in June.
All right, mate. Well,
you'll never remember that.
I won't remember that you've got Fidelity booking, whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a Decoded meeting as well, right? That was for a big company called Accenture. You've ever heard of them? Hosted in...
Was it June?
June. Yeah, June.
Now, the only earliest one I've got is you playing me a Fulton birthday song from in May. So
amazing!
That's yeah,
great. The Fulton birthday song. Yeah, the Dangerlings wouldn't have heard that. Well, one of them would. Hello, Candice. How you doing, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I could play it through my speaker, but it won't be.
You could do. Maybe we'll put it on the Patreon or something.
Yeah.
I was just doing loads of corporate stuff. And I saw a show called Hedgehog.
Was it any good?
It was all right.
That's in the blurb for the website. Hedgehog, Colin Hubbard. All right.
Hedgehog. It was all right. It was good. Yeah. It was very interesting. One person, there was like 3 actors, but one person did the majority of the talking. It was set in the 90s. Dan, what were you doing?
I could do something all 3 of us were doing in June. On the 27th of June, we had our very first Danger Club photo shoot where the 3 of us, Scott and hero Stu Jackson, went to the park and shot a load of photos that we still use for promo for the Danger Club.
Hell yeah!
Really? Yeah.
Wow.
They are.
Okay.
We were there they're in our costume and hanging out in trees, walking around fountains. It was
quite a sunny day.
It was a really sunny day. It's why they're really overexposed, a lot of them, because it's just so bright. It's like the most un-Game of Thronesy weather that you could possibly have for a medieval photo shoot. It was glorious.
The park was packed as well.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
It was so hard.
There were so many families sitting around us, like going, "Oh, hello," because that's how all families talk. Apparently, "Oh, hello, how you doing?" I also have I've got a Pinewood invite, a Pinewood Studios invite. I'm going to brag about that a little bit because I was doing some recording at Pinewood. That was good, wasn't it?
Was that for Watch Dogs?
That's Watch Dogs. Yeah, I'm going to be claiming that for the next year or so on Danger Recall.
There you go. So
I'm filming it for ages.
That's when Colin got the job. Well,
no, it was before I got the job.
Oh, all right, fine. Yes, when you went to record for Watch Dogs then. There you go.
Episode 53, we plan the plan. That's what we're doing. We look at the building. We go to the music shop. Fulton refuses to drink. Now,
yes, because you said drunk to Carragher, and he overheard you, so he was hurt by that, but we didn't go into detail. You said drunk to Carragher. Or Carragher, sorry, I'm not Scottish today. So, Carragher. So yeah, he overheard that. So that's why he was like, "No, I'm gonna go."
Oh shit! I didn't even realize that.
Wow.
Yeah, there was some subtext to that. Obviously, I should have probably shown that, but time passed. Yeah, time passed. I couldn't. Yeah, he was upset that you said drunk to Carragher. So
wow,
he sort of walked off.
Mm.
Yeah, so there you go. Peek behind the curtain. And it's also maybe because I also wanted to. I find sometimes with 6 people, it's a bit too much. So sometimes, and then I was like, I used that as my thing to go off and do my own little thing, like a little subplot that we obviously know and love about.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. That's why I walked off.
Yeah, very nice.
I love this little thing from April Hughes where she says he can be buttered up.
Yes,
about the chef. Such a good little line there. He can be buttered up. That was really nice. And then Shania goes to flirt with the guards. Dan, you had to flirt
surprisingly well,
with Drum. It did work surprisingly well, yeah. So you were playing a guard called Henrik.
Yes.
And how was it flirting with Drum?
It was surprisingly gentle. I would describe it as, and yet considerate. No, it was. I think I flirt with everyone in the course of the next few episodes. It's that becomes a very huge. That becomes a large part of your plan is seducing guards, which I should have known. That I was kind of like I kind of put Henrik in, like I said in the last episode, of like, he'll be like a drinking buddy for Fulton, and they'll get drunk together, and he'll just end up telling Fulton a load of useful stuff. Because there's a whole thing. I don't think you managed to do it in the end. There's a whole thing in the tower with the guard rotations, basically, that they brought extra guards in for this party, but there's a hierarchy to how important some of them are. So if something happens to disrupt it, it's basically the lookout guards who are looking out on the outside. if you do something to disrupt the guards, they won't be replaced. So I was like, I'm keeping. So the captain of the guard is in there for you to come up with a reason of doing this, and it's like if you can get him on side, if you can, maybe you can kind of like find out where they hang out and ambush and kill a bunch of the guards, or pay them off so that they don't go there. There's a way there to reduce the number of people you have to fight. And Shania goes in full garter belt, skirt pulled up, sitting on the knee. Oh, you're so handsome. And then just
feeling his muscles.
Oh my god! And then pushes her luck so much, like the least subtle information.
What's on that floor?
How many guards do you say there were specifically? Like, like 1,000
Are they very
guards?
well armed?
Yeah. Oh, but are there resistances, do you think? Not just like, oh my god, this is so close to it. He rolled so high on his diplomacy check that I was like, okay, thank God there is some leeway here. In that, like, probably the worst that will happen is she'll just undo the good work she's done. He's like, yeah, whatever, all right. But I was just like, stop digging.
Yeah. I love this though, because we've got 3 plans going at once. You know, 2 episodes ago we came up with a plan, a solid plan, and we were like, right, we're sticking to that. And then all of a sudden, we've got the revolution, we've got the infiltration, the heist, and we now have like this new plan with the guards. And I think as a player, I remember going, oh, hang on a minute. What plan are we doing again? What's going on? Are we doing the Girl Scouts? Yeah, it was crazy. But it's brilliant. So Shania actually gets quite a bit of info, and it's actually really good. And then we go to the library, and Karagor and Velda have their trip.
What was the reason that they went there? I can't remember the reason why they went there.
So they went to get plans for the tower, but also Velda wanted. He was curious about
the still place.
The still place, yeah, the dark place.
I think at this point, Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. They wanted to get the DVD out.
Curious about seminal show. Yeah, he'd heard it's got a cult following, and wanted to see what it was like.
No, I know, because I know that James had made a big point about wanting to find out a bit more about the still place. By this point, I'm pretty sure James himself had forgotten that the still place was a thing. However, Velda, I knew, was sort of still into it. So I was quite keen to get them to a library where he could stumble upon that book and we could get a bit more info. Because at this point in the story, we'd really left it hanging. One of the guards had sort of mentioned the still place, and you knew you'd seen it, but you didn't know anything about what it was. And I was like, that feels like an untied thread. I'd kind of like to explain what that was in character, so that you as characters can know how dangerous that was and sort of appreciate that. So I was keen to get that bit in. But yes, the plan was that you wanted like the municipal plans for the building, and I was like, okay, that's a reasonable thing to say might be on the public record somewhere. There'll have been modifications made to the tower, but let's say there is Kaer Marga, this sort of Mos Eisley city, actually has very strict planning laws, and you have to submit your planning application to the local public library. And so we get this whole sequence in it with. I love the incorruptible library guards.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Oh, I just dropped 10 gold pieces.
Yeah.
But they're kind of the full-on security in this fucking library.
Well, there was that kind of, but you got to remember, this is a library in a fantasy world, so it's like they're going to have like a magic scrolls. There's going to be like a kind of Doctor Strange Forbidden Tomes section of the library. So they're kind of they are going to be quite protective of some bits.
Mate, there's like security guards in fucking McDonald's now. So like in real life.
Yep.
I had a note here. Is this where Velda gets evil? Is this when it starts? Because he's interested in the still place, and he's like, "Oh yeah, okay, I'm going to look into that and see what happens." I don't know. Evil Velda.
Is this the point Velda becomes evil tracker as well? Because we've said that a bunch of times.
Yeah. We need like another monitor, don't we, Dan? Just to like all these lists that we've got up. I still need to update the tweeters list. But we find out about the blocked out floors. That there's a few floors in between that you can't get to, and we think that Uncle Gooden is going to be at the top of the tower. yeah, so that's kind of what we're divulging as a team. And then these two plums decide to steal the books.
Yeah. He hides it up under his in his pants, doesn't he, Velda?
Yeah, proper train spotting style.
Yeah.
They shovel the CDs up their shirt and just leg it down the road. I love this. Like Velda tries to just go, I need a poo. I need to go.
And then he goes, I was doing the I need a poo thing. It was the whole thing. I was like that's worked before.
Yeah, when has that worked before? Like, when have we done that?
It's such a weird like quirk of the show that Carragher always tries to bribe the most loyal people in it, whereas Fulton always tries to bribe idiots. And there's this constant thing where Fulton just constantly gives money to people who are really helpful. And whenever Scott's like, okay, and I let 5 gold fall out on the thing, it's always to like the king's right-hand man who's like, how dare you offend me with
right.
It just never works.
Everyone can be bribed.
I love these library guards. Love these library guards. I don't know if you've ever seen, there's an episode of Seinfeld, really good episode of Seinfeld as well. Seinfeld's before our time, but like I got into it anyway later on because heard that it was just one of the best comedy shows ever. And it really, really is, in my opinion. It is fantastic. And there's a great episode with a library cop. He like follows him and hunts him down and gets him for a fine. It's brilliant. Like if you've never watched Seinfeld before, do go back to the start. It takes a few episodes to get into it. But yeah, by the time you get to that library episode, it is fantastic. Seinfeld fans, tweet me.
Well, speaking of library cops, this incident right here is what leads to one of our favourite NPCs appearing in the show in probably about 10, 15 episodes time, I think. Who is a particular bounty hunter, a particular knoll who is set out to retrieve the fines for your overdue library books.
We will talk about that library cop a little bit later on. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. So they chase down the street. They run down the street away from the guards. Because they don't want to. And I get the thinking of it. This is Carragher saying, look, if we check these books out, then there's going to be a record of who checks the books out.
Yeah.
So there is kind of a logic there. There's a twisted logic to stealing the books. I get that. Excuse me. So yeah, I get it. The the bribing, that's all very fun as well. And then when they leg it, this I tried to find this music just as a little note. I tried to find this kind of Trainspotting-esque, what's his name?
Iggy Pop, Lust for
Iggy
Life.
Pop, yeah. It tried to find this Iggy Pop style music. Took me ages to find like a piece of music that was, what's it called? Royalty free that I could use. And I found one. It took me about 2 or 3 hours to find it, right? And it's used for like 10 seconds. So I spent so long trying to find that piece of music. And it's worth it. Just to picture them running down the streets of Edinburgh with the people chasing them. Yeah. So there you go.
I also like the image of just the rest of the band having to play. It was of like just Em and Shania having to just play a set by themselves with no lead singer and no lights because the two of them are like hiding in a garden somewhere from the library staff.
Yeah. Imagine them in court and thrown in jail and then they wouldn't been able to do the gig, and then it would have been a whole thing where they're just sitting in prison and
subplot, then breaking them,
breaking them out of jail,
then do the heist,
in an alternative world, alternate world, alternate universe. That would have happened. That's great.
I was happy with all this sort of stuff because my story goal is by the end of this story, you will have burned your bridges in Kaer Marga. Like, because that's kind of the thing is you're going up against Uncle Good, and no matter what you know about him, he's incredibly powerful. And so the chances are that there are going to be repercussions to attacking him. So at this point, I'm just like, set as many fires as you like, lads. I'm very happy.
So are you trying to make it so the Danger Club can never come back?
I'm not trying to make it, but I'm being more kind of, I'm not pushing myself to come up with resolutions to things and being like, okay, everything gets smoothed over and it's okay. Like, it's fine for there to be it's fine for you to cause disruptions and for people to stay mad at you, which a lot of the time you don't want if you're in a city-based thing, because you want to do that kind of sitcom thing of being like, reset everything after the adventure so we can go on to the next bit. But I kind of know you're leaving Kaer Marga at the end of this. So I'm very happy for you all to just play and just see what happens from it.
So if the club ever went back to Kaer Marga, would they be in, and maybe we'll talk about this in a later episode, but would they be in some sort of trouble?
You can certainly go back for it, but the repercussions of, Bubba would be fine, but the repercussions for the rest of the club, they did certain things, and there certainly will be, there are consequences to that if you ever go back. I mean, you've experienced some of them, how long is the reach of Creel and his organisation.
Yeah.
It's true. We don't know if he wants revenge for something that maybe will be coming in the future episodes.
So we got 4 days to go. We find out about the servant staircase, the two-way mirror. We're calling this the honeypot thing. We're not really sure what this plan is called, but we're kind of giving it the honeypot thing. Bolton wants to change the whole plan and just walks off again. I love this subplot though. It is really good. Do you honestly think that, Ross, when you start doing these things, do you start thinking, oh shit, actually this is actually gonna throw so many spanners?
Nah. Never. I never do. I always just go I don't really know what I think. I just go, do the most random shit.
Yeah.
I hope that it won't throw a spanner in the actual main plot. But I do like to go off on my own little journey sometimes.
Yeah, you have these little journeys. It's nice. It's a good trait to have as a player, that kind of spontaneity.
Yeah.
It's really good.
And good for a DM, especially Dan, because he loves reeling me in.
Yeah. Oh, he loves it. So we sort it all out. We've got, we've got the feather. At first, Mike's forgotten about the feather, and Mike wants to plunge up the tower with a couple of plunges. Wants to run through the gardens with the disappearing dogs and plunge up the tower and leave a note on the window. And we're like, oh no, we've got this feather thing. And she's like, oh right, okay.
She's like, oh, you could have told us that at the start.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Then M goes to sit down at the table at the opening of the bar. He goes to sit at the front table just to make sure that he has got that front table. Now, knowing MZ, right, by the time Creel turns up, I didn't think of this at the time, MZ would have been wankered. He would have just if it had turned up to the pub at 11 a.m. when the doors open and sat there until 9 p.m. at night, he would have just drank and drank and drank and drank and drank.
Never went to the bathroom, just pissed himself.
Yeah. Couldn't get up from that table. It would have just been a mess. So when Creel turned up, he just would have been like...
Maybe in his head, maybe that was just playing we were listening to what MZ was thinking was happening. But actually, in reality, he was just going, information about Big Mike. And he's like, oh my God.
We never thought about that, did we? We never thought about that. I love the little sound effect as the bird flies off. The little I tried to make it real childlike, really sort of like we were watching a cartoon on Saturday, which I thought was really fun, completely off brand for everything else that's happening. But it was nice. And then we've got Fulton as security, Shania's the bass, Velda's dancing lights, and Karagor is obviously performing as Shaka Bonhara. He's singing All the Minnows Are Brown, which is another great parody. Yeah, I'm sure that he goes away and thinks about these and writes them down and sort of rehearses because they're that good. Well done, Scott. I know he's not here. And then, of course, Creel comes in and sits down next to M. And
first Dark Michael comes in, doesn't he? And he wants to sit next to you, and you're like, fuck off.
Just about to add it. Yeah, Dan, you're throwing a Dark Michael spanner in the works.
You brought Dark Michael back into your lives. That's the thing about Dark Michael is that he's that friend who desperately wants to be your friend. He wants nothing more than to be mates with you. However, he will infinitely complicate your lives at every possible turn.
Yeah,
you know. He's that mate who's he's a really good mate, but he's never ready when he says he's ready, or he brings along someone else who disrupts the party, or you're just like, he's that person that you just really don't want to come along, but you can't think of you'd be a dick if you said no, because he just wants to be your mate.
Yeah.
And that's his entire vibe.
Does he fancy Velda?
He certainly has something of an obsession with Velda, doesn't he? He's,
yeah.
Well, sylphs are very interested in each other, aren't they?
They are. And he's not seen another sylph for a long while. And let's remember, he's coming off the back of a very, very bad breakup with Dark Anna that he's not coping well with.
That's a great subplot. Yeah, that's fantastic. So Dark Michael tries to sit down, and then he's like, "Keep my seat warm for me, loser," and pats him on the shoulder. That's such a good line, Dan. Yeah, that was great.
Creel's like the kingpin. I'm just like, you're in such dangerous water, Michael.
Oh my God, yeah. And then we've got the whole sweet liquid thing that we hadn't even thought about. We're just like, oh yeah, we'll just get him to sit down and drink a drink. And then it's like, oh no shit, this is like a really sweet liquid that he's got to drink, and we've got to like somehow make him drink it. And he's like, no, I don't, I'll just drink water. And then, yeah, Pamela the waitress.
So April rolled that last roll, right? Yeah. And that was to convince him to drink it, or was that that was when he drank it, he wouldn't realize that it was a shot? Because obviously, if I gave Colin a sweet drink, you would know if it's like alcoholic, surely.
Well, it's not, is it? Because she says these are health chasers, and I think the role was to convince him that this is what the bar were doing today. They were giving everyone like a health chaser, which that was April's kind of improvisation.
Yeah,
and that was the role. So she had to roll to see if he would drink it.
What was the DC for it?
Do
you remember?
14, I believe.
What, for the potion, for the love potion, or for the...
Yeah, how much did she smash it? Like, do you remember?
So, the role to convince him, I can't remember exactly how higher she was on that. She did make it just about. And she also, bear in mind, he was also rolling perception checks against her earlier disguise check that I noted down the number for her disguise check that when she'd made the disguise. And he was basically every interaction with her, he got a roll because he knows her to sort of see if he sees the disguise, and he never quite managed it. And then I really like the thing that she's just got a job she's just working at the bar, and everyone assumes that she's a member of staff because of the high turnover of staff in hospitality.
Yeah.
So that's already specific.
And she's just been there for the last couple of days, so everyone just kind of...
They assume that she works there.
Even the boss, even the manager's like, yeah, fine.
But yeah, any interaction that Mikey has with Creel is danger zone, because it's it's so easy for him to spot this. And this is one of the most dangerous points of the entire heist, including inside the tower. Like, there's ways of pedaling back from it if it goes wrong, but Creel is very dangerous. You do not want to suddenly find yourselves in a fight with Creel, and you certainly don't want to suddenly find yourselves in a fight in that bar and suddenly realize how many people in the bar at the time are in his employ, because he's not going to a meeting about something this important where he doesn't have all of the angles covered. Like, there are a lot of people in that audience who are there waiting for something to go wrong. So,
Dan?
Yeah.
On the popular train of Marvel's What If, what if he had made that, made even the perception to recognize April as Big Mike.
Or figured out the drink.
Figured out the drink. What would have happened? Would we have had to fight an entire room of guards, or would they have arrested us?
He probably wouldn't have figured out the drink. He might have refused the drink. He might have, he could have drunk the drink and saved, and it wouldn't have had any effect on him, and you'd have had to have found another way to get into, and that would have meant we have a few more episodes of you need a plan B of how you get into the party. Except now he's met some of you, so it's even harder. So it just adds more complications. If he'd have recognized Mikey and it had gotten fully into a fight, I still think there's a lot of ways out of the fight, because April is very good at stealth and she can turn invisible. And at that moment, he doesn't know that she's connected to any of you. So true. I think probably what happens in that scenario is she vanishes, disappears. Creel cuts the meeting off, realizes that Big Mike is out there, and it just tried to, as far as he knows, just tried to poison him. And doubles the guard and sets out bounties to try and find her, and it basically becomes like the whole neighborhood becomes like a police state for a while, with bounty hunters searching for her, and it becomes even harder. And then you've got to kind of carry out the mission against the backdrop of that, so it changes the whole thing. If it got into a fight, it would have been a tough fight.
How many people would have been fighting us?
I don't remember the exact number, but there were quite a few guards in there.
We're talking like 20, 30, aren't we?
It's not insurmountable. That would be kind of like TPK you have to run. Like, it would be...
Right.
Yeah.
You'd probably be looking along the lines of like the fight with Pines level of difficulty. Obviously, more people, but you had more resources at the time.
But you could have surrendered, though. Sure.
You absolutely, You could have surrendered.
Because they're not going to...
Yeah, we could have surrendered. We could have... Yeah, there's loads of things we could have done. I just want to wrap this up, though. This image at the end is great.
Yeah.
I love the what ifs, but this image at the end is fantastic, where he says, fuck it, why not? I'll drink the drink. So he's drinking away, but he's got his eyes locked on MZ, like eyes wide. There was a moment there as a player I was like, shit, I don't know if I can carry this. You know what I mean? There's going to be a lot of like me going out of character. What shall I say? Like, what are we? Because I think I'd relaxed into the fact that I just needed to get to this point, you know?
Yeah.
And I knew that Caragor was going to take over. And if it would have been, what if M would have done that? Like, if he'd have had to be the person that he falls in love with, like, that would have been difficult for me, I think, at the time. But Mikey goes invisible, turns his head, and I love this, like, this image of, like, Shania going deeper on the bass and Velda, like, doing dancing lights around them, and Caragor's running his finger down the shoulder, and all the kind of, like, the darkness going around them and the light just shining on them too, as we roll the dice, and then that's the end of the episode.
Great cliffhanger.
It's so good.
Is that our most frustrating cliffhanger? Maybe Velda, and maybe the 48, 49 with the gunshot on Ica, but this one is.
The good thing about this one is, like, we had to wait a few weeks before we recorded again.
Yeah,
and we had to work around April, because we only had at first we only had April for a day. And this was her last episode that she was recording. So at the end of it, we were like, well, you've got to come back. You have to come back. When are you available? We'll work around you.
Yeah.
So, like, we're desperately, like, trying to find a way that we can get her back.
I thought it was all done in one go, because the next episode, James is like, oh, my voice is better. Now I remember it was done in 2 goes, wasn't it?
We did it in 2 goes. Yeah. So that's why we had April for, like, more than 4 episodes. So, thank you very much, April Hughes. Thank you very much to the Danger Club that are not here. Thank you very much to my guests on Danger Recall today. That was Ross Harmston.
They always pondered the question, what if?
And to Dan Thompson.
They always ponder the question, how if?
And me, Colin Hubbard. Why if? Have a good day, Dangerlings. Toodles.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.